have a rundown on the International Rescue Craft. At the moment, there are 5. Thunderbird 1. Complete. First and fast. Thunderbird 2. Giant transporter. Carries all the rescue gear to the danger zone. Thunderbird 3, designed for space rescue. Thunderbird 4, capable of withstanding the pressure of the depths. Thunderbird 5, space monitor, capable of receiving or intercepting distress calls from any part of the world.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this very special live stream. Tonight, we will be debating a topic close to the hearts of every Thunderbirds fan across the globe, and that is, which is the best Thunderbird? Looking forward to hearing what everyone at home has to say. Please post your comments in the chat. Please share this stream on social media so that we can get as many people joining in as possible. Really want this to be a very lively debate because I know everyone out there has an opinion. Everyone's got their favorite. And today I am joined by some Gerry Anderson experts who are going to be defending their chosen Thunderbird craft. So, representing the space station Thunderbird 5, as seen on the official Gerry Anderson TikTok account, we have Willow Lambden Smith. Hello.
Hello. Good to be here representing my boy in the space station.
Yes. And for Thunderbird 4, International Rescue's Yellow Submarine, we have filmmaker and puppeteer Ben Page. There
Hello.
He is. Very nice. Very nice.
Hashtag TB4 supremacy. Woo!
Woo! And flying in from outer space with Thunderbird 3, it's Thunderbird's audio producer, Andrew Clements.
Thunderbird 3, yeah,
baby. Now, as the very large Thunderbird 2 in front of me might indicate, I myself will be making the case for Thunderbird 2 that it is the greatest of all the international rescue crafts. So let's be honest, this debate is completely unfair and rigged, and hashtag TB2. Nevertheless, I'm Jack Knoll. I will be the ambassador for International Rescue's big green transporter aircraft. But last but not least, coming in at top speed with Thunderbird 1, we're joined by artist and visual effects maestro Chris Thompson. Hello. To
Runway
you.
not required, coming in vertically.
Excellent, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for waiting so patiently. How are we all this evening? Are we ready for a good fight? Are ready for a good debate?
Always.
I'm expecting this to get very personal. Taking their prisoners.
Well, everyone in the comments already has been extremely just getting into it already. Lots of people shouting for their favorites already.
Man.
Hopefully it doesn't drag into the wee small hours of the night. We were discussing earlier on before the show the possibility that this could last a while because it's going to be tricky to decide. We may never decide. So hopefully we'll, not keep you for too long. Ben, you've got someone on your side.
Of course,
Someone thinks that Fireball XL5 should be included here.
Interesting take.
It's an interesting take. Thunderbird 2 is the best big boy. That's from the big exclusive, so they presumably know what they're talking about. Apparently we should be doing the hi guys with jazz hands.
Hi guys.
There we go. Great to see everyone. Keep your comments coming in, and yes, please do share this stream so everyone can watch and enjoy. But before we get started with the debate, there was a quite a big announcement made yesterday that it seems appropriate for us to talk about, and that is the reveal of the all new Thunderbird 2 collectible model. We've got some exclusive images which have just appeared on your screen right now. We're going to share some of those images with you. I also believe that someone on this call has is it a prototype, or is that's the finished model, Chris?
This is the one that we took all the photos of, so it's arguably almost, I guess, the finished model, but essentially, yeah, here it is.
There it is. Looks absolutely gorgeous. I mean, isn't it wonderful? There's the base that it goes on as well. Lovely, lovely stuff. So yes, we'll be taking a good look at some of this, and let me just make sure I have all the details absolutely correct in front of me. So this model will be available to pre-order from the Gerry Anderson store. That's shop.gerryanderson.com. It will be available to pre-order on Friday, February 23rd, 2024. So 1 week from today, when this goes, when this is live. So it is a screen accurate model with a runway display base, as Chris beautifully modeled earlier. It's part of the Anderson Entertainment range of collectible models, so things like the Eagles that we saw previously. This is kind of continuing that tradition of really high quality, beautifully packaged, limited edition. So 2,000 of these, and each comes with a certificate of authenticity as well. It's primarily a display model, I suppose, produced with all new tooling. Chris, I believe you can tell us a little bit about that, because you were responsible for providing the 3D model that this was based on.
So yeah, I did
tell us a little about that.
I did the 3D model that it's based on. So it's what I mainly used was the end credit shot, because for people obviously who know, like, Thunderbird 2 changed dramatically over the course of the show. There's not really any consistent version of Thunderbird 2, like from color or detail or anything, but particularly that end credit shot always felt really iconic. So that was kind of my main base point. And yeah, so did the 3D model and then sent it off to the factory, and then liaised with them throughout the detailing phase. So getting all those little paint smudges, connecting up where they should be, and all that kind of stuff. And this is what we've arrived at.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Like all the little, the panel marking and the bits that have been dirtied down and things like that. Looks absolutely spot on to, as you say, to that classic end credits shot. It really, really does look the business. Now, I've seen a lot of people ask about the size, which is listed. It's on the website. Here's all the details. 252 by 192 millimeters. And fortunately, Chris is there. Let me see if I can bring Chris up again.
It's about the size of my head.
It's the size of your head. I happen to have a tape measure with me to make sure that we get this absolutely right, because I really want to give people the right idea. So that's 252. That's 252 millimeters. If you compare it to, I'm knocking things over, of course, because I've got a tape measure and we're live, so of course that was going to happen. So if you compare it to, I just happen to have the Matchbox Thunderbird 2 right here. Lengthwise, I mean, it's about twice the length, I would say, of the Matchbox Thunderbird 2.
It's about 10 inches if you're American.
10
Thank
inches
you
if you're
for
American.
translating.
Yes. So there we are. That's it, and it looks great. A lot of people asking Does the pod drop out? Do the legs extend? So it's a display model to make, in order to make it screen accurate. I understand that it doesn't have like any moving parts, because that would have made it kind of prohibitively expensive
I think
to produce, because
what you find on other models of Thunderbird 2 is that they have to make concessions in order to have the legs somewhere to fit, where they pop out, or like some sort of tooling to lock the pod in place. We've gone for this in a little bit of a different approach, because we want this thing to look basically like the original filming miniature did on the show, and that has meant kind of making it as one unit in this instance. So
yeah. But who knows? Maybe in the future, some different manufacturing processes will come along that will make it possible to kind of give you the best of both worlds. Because obviously everyone's used to, the toy, Thunderbird 2s that are able to drop their pods, and they have all the mechanics and different, systems in there. But this is something slightly different, slightly new, something that you can't necessarily get elsewhere. So here it is. Diecast Thunderbird 2 collector's model, available from Friday. If you head to the page I'm looking at on the website right now that I have up on the screen, if you go to shop.gerryanderson.com/pages/TB2 collectible, you can go on there and you can register your interest. And what that will do is you will get a notification via email letting you know as soon as the pre-orders go live, because there's only 2,000 of these, so there's a possibility these are going to sell out kind of fast. So if you want to be the first to get in there and make your purchase, then you can just sign up by entering your email there. And of course, as we said before, it's part of the ongoing range of collectibles from Anderson Entertainment. We've had the Eagles in the past. It's just going to kind of be a continuation of that range. Hopefully lots more Thunderbirds stuff coming, and lots of other shows as well are going to be represented there. So very excited to see where this range goes. But that's since I'm representing Thunderbird 2, of course I had to talk a lot about that kind of
bias.
Obligated and maybe slightly biased to talk about that quite a bit, but I think now is a good time to get to the debate, and I can sense there that everyone is sort of itching to get started and jump in and defend their Thunderbirds. We've been, between the five of us, we've been talking quite a big talk on social media for the past week. We've said some things.
Said some things we can't take back.
Friendships will end tonight.
I will come out of this 4 people ladder. Yeah.
We are very much putting everything on the line here. Lots of shots fired. This is the
advantage of being
culmination
an
of
adult,
all
though,
of
is that you can choose the hill that you die on.
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah, I think this is definitely a hill worth dying on. Now, before we get started, I do have some ground rules. Just a few. Nothing. Most of pretty much we're allowing for anything here, but just so it's clear for everyone, we're focusing on the 5 original Thunderbird craft from the Super Mario Nation TV series. So that's what we're going to be talking about for the most part. All the guests who are here today have been given the opportunity. They've had plenty of time to prepare arguments ahead of time and provide any supporting evidence if they choose to do so. And finally, no swearing, don't be a bad loser, no eye gouging or biting. That's mostly for Willow's benefit there. Speaking of Willow, Willow will be starting us off with a look at Thunderbird 5, the space station, and I'm going to start by playing in a few of Thunderbird 5's best bits. Here we go.
5.
from Thunderbird 5 calling international rescue.
Wow.
Willow,
Ladies first.
tell us all. Tell us why you apparently think Thunderbird 5 is the best Thunderbird.
Because it is. It is. It's just, that's my entire argument. It's just going to be the fact that it is the best Thunderbird. It's also the most important Thunderbird. That is my entire argument here. And I mean, first you got to look at it. It's absolutely gorgeous. It is absolutely stunning. You look at any of the other ones, and they are a bit plain and boring, aren't they? Let's be real. Let's be honest here. You've got like the yellow ones, just small and yellow, and the Thunderbird ones it's got a red tip and it's a bit fast and sleek and it's meh. But and yet Thunderbird 2, just big green bathtub, you know. Thunderbird 3, it's orange. It's orange. That's about all it's got going for it. Then you look at Thunderbird 5 and look at the details that is on Thunderbird 5. Just look at every single little part of it. I mean, even the anti-meteor ring is gorgeous. Just, it's got an astrodome. Where else can you lay on your back and look at space while in space? It's just, you can't. It's just...
Yeah, funny how that astrodome is never actually used in the show itself, though, is it?
I mean, we all said, like, we're going with what the potential for the craft as well, not just the things that we get to see in just a 60-minute kind of little episode. And I argue that Thunderbird 5 is the most important Thunderbird out of all of them. I argue that it is the most important one. And I argue that because it's pure facts about what Thunderbird 5 actually does. That's my whole argument, is based on facts. And if you look at it, without Thunderbird 5, there is no international rescue. It's just, it would cease to operate. It would cease to exist. It would not work, because without communications, without Thunderbird 5, without any of that, your Thunderbird International Rescue has absolutely no job to do. If you look at, even in real life, without like 999 operators and things like that, you can have the absolute best teams out there. You can have the best firefighters. You can have the best land, sea, air rescue. You can have the best paramedics. They don't know where they're going and they don't know who they're helping, and there's no communications, they don't do their job. It's just, it's pure fact.
Well,
it is.
Yeah, fine. Jeffrey says, without Thunderbird 3, there wouldn't be Thunderbird 5. What do you have to say to that?
Well, there would, because there's other rockets out there.
Yeah, without Thunderbird 5, there wouldn't be a need for Thunderbird 3.
That's the thing, though. No, every other Thunderbird, International Rescue can operate without any of the other ones. We've seen that in the show. We have seen that they can get by when any of the other ones are kind of like not working or they're not there or anything like that. They cannot operate without Thunderbird 5. And I'm quoting the great Jeff Tracy here. I have notes. I brought quotes.
Oh,
and
okay.
Attack of the Alligators. Jeff says, yes, Mother, our whole organization is thrown out of action until we can get through to John in the space station. Ooh. And he also says, it's certainly good to be back in business. And then if you look at Ricochet, he says to Brains, I don't like the idea of Thunderbird 5 being non-operational. And he says to Virgil, let's hope our assistance is not required in the next 3 hours. Without Thunderbird 5, there is no international rescue, and international rescue cannot operate without Thunderbird 5. It's just, I will argue.
Okay, right. Keeps going.
I will
right.
argue that Thunderbird 5 and the operators in Thunderbird 5 has probably saved more people than all the other boys put together already, without even leaving the space station.
Ooh, right. Wow. Okay.
I did bring receipts. I did.
Willow did bring the receipts.
I did. Okay. If you think about it, 999 operators and people that are out there fielding the calls, they already have to do all of the work and a lot of the work before they even send the teams out there. So they would have to do things like making sure that the people they're talking to are calm and not getting themselves in more trouble. There might be people that are injured, and therefore they have to talk them through first aid to make sure that there's actually someone there to save when the boys actually get out there. You've got the fact that we know Thunderbird 5 will pass on calls to local authorities and stuff without even telling Jeff about it. So therefore they're saving people without even leaving, without even having to do anything.
Okay. Okay. I don't know, chaps. What do you reckon? Any
I think it's
immediate
a lot of-
counter arguments that you have to any of the very, very well presented arguments that Willow
I
puts
do think
forward?
it is like a lot of good arguments that are well made, Willow. So well done.
Yeah.
On the aesthetics point of view, it is a very detailed pizza cutter.
It's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Ooh.
It's stunning. It's better than just a little
That
dart,
was
isn't it?
that was a
really?
very sly dig there,
was a
Chris.
sneaky
Not quite a
little attack
compliment,
there,
not
wasn't it?
quite a dig. Oh my goodness.
I
I
would
mean,
say I love that there's the the Astrodome, we don't see it, but it implies all of the models really have implied things that you can imagine. And that's part of what makes the Thunderbirds world feel so real, is that there's always something just off camera or something that you see that kind of implies another, aspect to the craft. All that to say, it's still up in orbit, not doing much most of the time.
we've had
I
the
argue
Thunderbird
that it's
2
not
bottle
doing much.
opener.
I argue that Thunderbird 5, Thunderbird 5 and whoever's on there is the first responder beyond Scott or anybody else, because they have to decide if they're even going to put the calls through to Earth anyway. And let's look at this. Let's look at the portraits, okay? John's first because he's the most important. Therefore, Thunderbird 5 is the most important Thunderbird.
Ooh.
AC, you look like you're deep in thought. Like
AC's looking like I accidentally gave her that point the other night on a chat, and now I'm thinking I'm wishing I hadn't.
I was just having a think about some of those well-made points, and oh my gosh,
Oh dear.
sorry,
Wow.
just a little bit dry, really. Trying to.
All right. Well, Willow, I mean, I was expecting someone to bring this up. What do you have to say to this whole thing that Gerry Anderson himself did not like? John therefore used Thunderbird 5 as a so-called prison for him. What do you have to say to that?
He's clearly jealous of his hair. I mean, clearly, my boy's beautiful. Look at him. He's absolutely gorgeous. And honestly, again, Thunderbird 5, John's the most important, Tracy. He's the only one. I mean, he's got his degree in communications and everything. He's the only one that can properly do that job. So Jeff clearly needs to put the most important one somewhere safe.
Okay. That's one
Apart-
way of
apart
looking at
from the
it.
fact that it is also concurrently manned by Alan in opposite months.
You could also argue that Thunderbird 5 may be there to keep John safe, but is it also there to keep us safe from John?
Because he's too beautiful. You need the protection.
From John.
Yeah. He's perfect. He's absolutely perfect. Thunderbird 5 is perfect. I will argue as well that the person that is in Thunderbird 5 is basically running international rescue. Jeff is just a figurehead, because they are the ones that are deciding if they even put calls through. And John is the one that even, right, end of the road, right? He sits there and John makes a decision that they're going to go out, and then says to Jeff, "Oh, hope I didn't make the wrong call." He's covering his back with Alan in that. That's all he's doing. He knows they're going out. They're making the decisions, and they're just letting Jeff feel like he's doing something.
Yeah.
And just letting him feel like he's, inspiring them all to keep going every single day.
Exactly. But the one in Thunderbird 5 is running international rescue, because there's, I mean,
That's why they always hang up on him, right?
It tracks, it locates, it communicates, it does absolutely everything. There's nothing. And any of the other Thunderbird crafts, I argue that there are other technology and other machinery out there that could do it. There's other submarines. There's other fast little rockets. There's other big transporters out there. There's no other one that's doing what Thunderbird 5's doing.
There are other satellites.
Not as good as Thunderbird 5. It's the best, most important Thunderbird. Because any of the other things could be done by something else, but none of them are doing what Thunderbirds 5 are doing, with the level of coverage that it's got, with the range that it's got, and it's big and it's beautiful and it's gorgeous. And again, I disagree with the whole it's an answering service, because it's not, because that is devaluing everything that actual 999 operators do. And anyone that says that they are not hero part and an essential part of the emergency services has never had to make that kind of call. And I say that on a personal level of being someone that has had to call through to them and be talked through doing CPR on someone close to them. That is the most important thing. And if you call for help, you deserve to know that there is someone there listening that is going to pick up that call. And that is another thing. It's not even just when they call for help. They are listening in Thunderbird 5 so much they send out help when people don't even ask for it. That's just yeah.
Well, that's the end of the stream. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah, I think that settles it. Yeah.
They are saving lives before they can even go down their little slip and slides into anything else, into the crafts and goes.
Oh boy. Oh.
What I would say is that Willow probably has the hardest job here, and she is doing an incredible job.
I'm fighting for my boy. I'm fighting
we
for
are
the
all
boring
quite nervously considering whether we have prepared enough for this stream, because I know that's
I'm
how I'm
writing
feeling.
research.
But with that, I mean, thank you very much, Willow. I'm sure we will come back to talk more about Thunderbird 5 later on. But now it is the turn of that gosh darn charming little yellow submarine, Thunderbird 4. And Ben Page is going to be presenting that argument for us. But first, let's take a look at some of Thunderbird 4's best bits.
4.
Well,
All right, Ben. I'm already seeing
Thunderbird 4.
this hashtag TB4 supremacy nonsense. I mean,
Well, I have to
go
say,
on then.
so Willow made her argument from facts, but my argument is from the heart, because Thunderbird 4, it's not the largest, it's not the fastest, but it's the one that's closest to our hearts. It's the most beautiful. Let's talk about the design for a minute of Thunderbird 4. I mean, come on. Like, it is basically the essential sci-fi design, right? You've got your cockpit up front, your engine in back. You've got plenty of gadgets and gizmos to keep it going. And it's just,
And would you say you've always had a good eye for design, Ben? Is that something you've always had a keen...
Well, I've always considered myself something of an artist. And so, even from
I
early
noticed
days,
that. There was this drawing you did the other week, right? Yeah.
This is
stunning. It is stunning.
Have to say that's a childhood drawing, not a recent drawing. Yeah.
My favorite thing is that Gordon's face is pushed right up against the glass.
He's sat very far forward, and also the scale is very interesting here.
It's like he's got his legs sticking out the back with his little shoes on.
Definitely a lot of room for gizmos on that as well.
Yeah. Also, I made it orange, which is, in my head, Thunderbird 4 is perhaps more orange than it really is.
It is actually. Wow. It is. It's like an amber color.
It is a yellow submarine, and I would argue that it's one of the best Thunderbirds, or it is the best Thunderbird, because they had so much practice with Stingray doing underwater stuff. By the time they got to Thunderbird 4, they had brought that art of doing underwater craft shots to absolute perfection. And that's what they do with Thunderbird 4. So to me, it's totally self-evident why Thunderbird 4 is superior. But for those of you that don't get it, I've whipped up a little bit of definitive proof, sort of chart. Thank you very much, Mr. MC.
He's really prepared for this.
This is the ultimate Thunderbird 4 argument. So if you're in doubt at all, this will help you out. So the first question: do you need to rescue someone? Well, if the answer is no, but wouldn't you like having a submarine? Like, wouldn't a submarine make your day better? Yes, obviously, there's only one possible answer to that. You need Thunderbird 4. But what if you do need to rescue somebody? Well, The first question you got to ask yourself then, in that case, is there water involved? And if there is, well, guess what? You Thunderbird 4 again. You need the Thunderbird 4 because there's water, right? I mean, you have to bring it. I mean, even if it's a little bit of water, even if, little Timmy fell in the puddle or something, best to just bring Thunderbird 4 just to be on the safe side. But let's say there's no water at all. Well, is there even the teeniest chance that water could become involved? Think about this. There could be ice from space that could descend. And then there would be a huge deluge. Tsunamis happen, people. So there's always the teeniest chance that water could become involved. And then you better bring Thunderbird 4.
How
just
well is
loving
Thunderbird 4 actually going to do in a tsunami?
I am
think
loving
it'd
the
be-
mental image of getting like splashed by a bus in the road, and then like Thunderbird 4 flying over the hill. Like,
I mean,
coming
it's
at me.
better safe than sorry, Chris. Better safe than sorry.
Get run over by Thunderbird 4 and the bus.
Just for good measure.
Oh,
Bring Thunderbird 4.
bring
I think
Thunderbird
my point
4
is pretty
along.
much proved.
It's the
Hashtag
Thunderbird in your
TV4
pocket.
supremacy.
Willow, any immediate thoughts about this?
I feel like we're reaching a little bit with just like, let's just bring it in for anything that's water related, because it's not going to work, is it? I mean,
After all,
look
think
at
about Danger at
Thunderbird 4.
Ocean Deep.
No, look
Well,
at,
think about
yeah,
Danger
you
at
didn't
Ocean
need it.
Deep.
We needed
It's
John. It's
related.
fine.
They didn't bring Thunderbird 4. They brought
Exactly.
John along.
I mean, look at
Yeah.
Thunderbird 4.
I would
I
argue
agree
that
on-
Danger at Ocean Deep would have gone better if Thunderbird 4 was there.
I am
Thunderbird
enjoying
4
already
Ben's
got
like
blown up
case for
as
an
well.
emotional support Thunderbird.
Thunderbird
That's because it
4.
can fit
is
in
an
those handbags.
It is an emotional support
Look at
Thunderbird
it.
because every time you look at Thunderbird 4, you feel better.
No, it's a little tin can that looks like the Trotter's van. I mean, look at it. It's just no.
I mean, let's talk about size. Because, it was inevitably going to happen. Thunderbird 4. It's quite small, isn't it? So,
But would you rather drive a small economic sports car or a giant bus? A giant green Airbus that floats along like a zeppelin.
Would you rather have an atomic reactor
mean, it
strapped to a small, tiny car or a giant green bus?
I mean, there's a clear winner there for me.
I mean, I would also argue that Thunderbird 2 wouldn't float along at all, whereas Thunderbird 4, at least, it does float.
Can I argue that Thunderbird 4 is not getting anywhere without Thunderbird 2 anyway? So,
See, I've been waiting for that. So
Yeah.
Thunderbird
How's the
4, we all know, can launch from Tracy Island on its own. Doesn't need Thunderbird 2, but it deserves Thunderbird 2.
24 hours to get to New York, though, with a lift from someone else. That's a
Well, I don't deny it. It's not the fastest.
Tracy Island, but it didn't get there by itself. It needed a bigger boat to help it.
It's not the
where
fastest,
it's
but it's
going.
the one with the biggest heart.
Having a big heart is technically not something medically anyone should ever have. That's a bad thing.
Metaphorically speaking, AC.
Like it's a lovely Thunderbird, but it is having a heart attack.
I'm having a heart
All right.
attack because I love it so much.
Well, okay. Let's talk about gadgets. Thunderbird 4's got quite a few gadgets. Which do you think is the most useful? Is it being able to blow enemies up out of the water, or is it being able to drill very specific holes in submarines to pump in gas? I mean, it's not meant for rescuing people. It's trying to kill people.
I'm a big fan of the laser cutter personally. I think that's a really useful tool. That's definitely my favorite gadget.
Good for cutting people in half.
Yeah. Some people on this stream I might like to cut in half.
That's how you rescue people. Like, all lives matter at international rescue, but we'll just attack them with a laser beam.
Unless Ben's behind the wheel. What's that, Chris? You need rescuing. Getting the circular saw out.
Oh, well, Thunderbird 4 definitely has its fans in the comments. I mean, you're winning over a few people, maybe, but
It does have the magnets. That's a great
I don't
point.
know. So
International
far,
rescue
I'm
magnets.
Bigger's
to be
not
fair,
always
Thunderbird
better.
2 has magnets.
Sometimes you need the right tool for the right job. And most of the jobs, it's Thunderbird 4.
To be
Especially if they're
fair,
wet.
I'm intrigued that Ben hasn't pointed this out yet, but Thunderbird 4 can travel on land as well. It's got little hover jets.
Yeah.
I think I just heard a tumbleweed going past in the background there.
No, that was
I can't-
Thunderbird
I
4
can't
silently moving
necessarily-
towards your house.
Oh, very good. Yeah. Yes, I can't see much benefit aside from getting it self-launched to Thunderbird 4 being able to move along land. I mean, really.
It's not really the main feature, is it?
No. I mean, the fact that it even the fact that Chris had to come along, offer you that argument, and it got absolutely, I cannot stress this enough, Chris, it got absolutely no traction whatsoever when you made that argument. But the fact that Chris has to come along and try and do that on your behalf, Ben, I mean, really, I'm not sure you've got it strong enough here.
I'm grateful, but
I would also
I think that the strength of Thunderbird 4 is self-evident on its own without the ability to travel on land.
That ability, though, can we really give it that much credit anyway? Because surely something's ability to expel hot gas from its underside isn't that unique. Most humans can do it.
Well, so can Thunderbird 2, for that matter. And
And
if we're
Thunderbird
talking
1.
about the the passing of gas, then Thunderbird 3 is definitely not the one to stand behind, if you know what I mean.
It is definitely the least fuel efficient green
Yeah.
Thunderbird.
Carbon
That's
footprint
true.
the size of Brazil.
Well, since we're on the topic, thank you very much, Ben. But since we very neatly came on to talking about Thunderbird 3, it's probably about time we took a look at the space vehicle designed for space rescues, as Jeff says. And I've just realized, talk about I love live streaming. I don't have the clips ready, so Ben AC, just talk amongst yourselves very
Okay.
briefly while I get this ready.
Ben, just to stretch this out a little bit, what is your theory on why, for example, why Gordon Tracy wears an orange sash but Thunderbird 4 is yellow? Do you have a theory about that we
Also,
can?
Ben,
Well,
while
see-
you're here, can you explain to us how it gets back in the pod?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
that.
well we all know how it gets back in the pod. It's winched back in. Or you could just drive it home. I mean, it's not that far.
Okay. Enough time has been bought. Thank you very much. Just goes to show how important Thunderbird 3 is. I completely forgot about it. But here we go. Here are the best bits of Thunderbird 3.
3,
Jack, did you use every single clip of Thunderbird 3 from the show?
Yeah, pretty much. I was stretched pretty thin when I was coming up with best bits for Thunderbird 3. There really wasn't a lot
You'll
to
be
work
stretched pretty thin after this stream, I'll tell you that much.
with. Okay.
Well,
Go
can
on,
I just say? Can I just say that none of the Thunderbirds carry off the masking tape go faster stripes motif better than Thunderbird 3. I mean, that's some quality black masking tape stripes right there. But I mean, Willow came in pretty strong with facts, and Ben came in reasonably strong with some cardiovascular feelings about his particular Thunderbird. But I'm going to paint you a little picture. Picture this, if you will. You're with your family. You've gone for a picnic. It's a nice day. You take the basket out. You put the blanket down on the ground. Everyone's having a nice time. Suddenly, you hear a hissing noise. Like, uh-oh, what's going on here? Doesn't sound so good. And you think, could it be a snake? Could it be a snake about to interrupt this picnic out of the tall grass? No, it couldn't, because there is no grass, because you're having this picnic in a hermetically sealed dome on the moon. Oh no! This looks like a job for Thunderbird 1, 2, or 4. But hang on, they can't go into space. Looks like a job for Thunderbird 3 then. Good job it exists, because otherwise this family picnic could be terribly, terribly sad and depressing, and we don't want that because picnics are fun. So we get Alan, and Alan pops into his rocket via, I must admit, the most amazing launch sequence in the show, because who doesn't want to get into their space rocket on a couch? Look at it. It's a couch. You don't have to do anything. You sit down, it does all the work, gets you into your ship, you stand up, you fly into space. It's the dream.
Lazy.
It's not. It's cool. And while we're on the subject of the method of egress into the ship, people often ask, how does one couch go into the same slot that the first couch came out of? Well, it's quite simple. You can't see it terribly well on the TV screen because of the angles and so forth, but you've got one pole lifting a couch at the front, one at the back, but they actually, if you turn the shot round, they're sort of going like that. They're levered into each other, so they both end up in the same place. There we go. Problem solved. So, not only does it have a very cool feature...
What does any of this have to do with picnics?
It's just wasting his time with pretty words
To
and
the
story.
point.
To be fair, though, like nickel for every time I've
Honestly,
accidentally
it's
gone for a
story
picnic on the moon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I've
Happens
breezed
to me
right
all the
past that.
time.
Let's let him cook / dig.
So we're moving past that anyway. So yes, you've been rescued because Thunderbird 3 is the only ship that can reach you on the moon, since none of the others can go into space. # fail for the other Thunderbirds, of course. But
Mine's already up there.
It is, but it's kind
Technically,
of just,
Thunderbird 4 has never been tested in space. But we don't know that it can't.
Thunderbird
go in
1
space.
can go into
Thunderbird 4
space, and
if
it's
you threw
done
it
multiple
hard
times
enough.
in the comics.
it can't though, because we're not counting the comics. We're only going by the
No.
original TV series.
Jack's specific rule was that we're going by the original Thunderbirds.
But
He
he said
didn't
the
say-
original
In the
he
Super
didn't.
Mario Nation TV series.
in the Super Mario Nation TV series is what he said. So that doesn't count. The comics are null and void. Does not count. So yeah, Thunderbird 5 is merrily waving Thunderbird 3 off as it plows into deep space doing its amazing thing. The other thing, of course, is Thunderbird 3 criminally underused because of the fact that it is so awesome and so amazing and so flawless at its job that it only gets taken out on those occasions where everyone else fails, because that's what it's there for. It's there to shine. It's there to say, well, when all your other supposedly amazing Thunderbird craft can't do the job, hello, Thunderbird 3 at your service.
Oh, except
Or
for in
alternatively,
some
whenever-
probe when they had to send Thunderbird 2 out just in case Thunderbird 3 failed at its job. Which,
But
to be fair, it didn't.
it
But then,
didn't.
oh wait, it got stuck itself.
And also, you could argue that they don't wheel it out every time it's special, because it's basically a bagel delivery service with Thunderbird 5.
Which also proves how Thunderbird 5 is useless without Thunderbird 3. Here's another scenario. You're John Tracy. You wake up one morning in Thunderbird 5. You think, I know, I'll make myself some breakfast. Hang on a second, I've run out of supplies. Well, I can't ask for any other rockets to come up here because I am a top secret space station. Well, I have two choices. I can either send for Thunderbird 3, aka the best one, or I can starve. Basically, is what I could do. So they call Thunderbird 3 to the rescue. John Tracy gets his fill of, Honey Crunch Krispies or whatever he's having up there. And there we go. International Rescue is allowed to continue operating because their space station, which is, I admit, reasonably vital to their operation, has a fully stocked breakfast bar and can continue operating. The other
Right.
amazing thing about
So
Thunderbird 3 is
Thunderbird 3 is just food delivery. Basically.
food delivery.
And
Yeah, because it's
Lunar
got
Rescue-
no other real use.
Any
It's
other.
basically Space Deliveroo.
It also looks the best, as proven in Give or Take a Million, when given the choice to see any of the 4 Earth-based Thunderbirds launching, and Thunderbird 5 doesn't even feature. Nikki chooses Thunderbird 3, obviously to a child who can discern such things with ease.
Or because he doesn't know what it looks like because he's never seen it because they never use it.
But they
Boom.
they have put lots of models on the table.
AC, just off the top of your head, when was the last real-world space rescue?
But we don't actually have any space colonies.
No, but there's been space rescues, but when was the last one?
Well, they had to move somebody. They had to move the International Space Station a couple of times for incoming space debris.
Mm-hmm.
They did have backup launches for some of the shuttle. Well, most of the shuttle missions. Let's see.
That argument's somewhat invalid because it's not 2065 yet.
But
so-
like, you can multiply it by the sort of the future space program, because spaceships usually is one of those situations where
well, you can
either-
make projections and claims,
Yeah.
but you can't,
But ultimately, the wonderful thing about space is that either you survive or you very much don't. And unfortunately, by the time Thunderbird 3's got there,
Oh, Thunderbird 3's fast. Thunderbird 3 gets into orbit in no time at all, whereas everything else usually has to orbit around a couple of times before it even gets into the right trajectory. Thunderbird 3 just zooms off and does its thing. Plus, it's orange, and everybody knows that orange is the best color.
very visible.
No.
Very visible,
Well, let's
very
talking
bright.
about there's
I'm
been
not
some
falling
chat
for it.
about whether Thunderbird 3 is red or orange.
I
Anyone
blame
want to take
this.
a punt at that?
This is my thought on that, Jack. A lot of people in the chat will probably at some point in their lives have owned one of these. This is the 1991-92 Matchbox Thunderbird 3. It is very red. I mean, it is properly red. Whereas this one, which is the Konami version from the same one as Chris has got there, it's going to probably be hard to tell on camera, but this is more of an orange color. So I guess a lot of the misconception that Thunderbird 3 is red possibly comes from this.
It's that and the movie and Thunderbirds Are Go versions are red. And then if you compare that to the shot from Give or Take a Million, the original one is orange. It's the same way that Thunderbird 4 is not yellow, it's amber.
Yeah.
I just had an out-of-body experience there, and it was just the realization that we were, broadcasting live with AC leaning right into the camera going, look, this is a bit more orange than this one is.
It's all in the name
wearing
of
a
science.
red hoodie of Thunderbird 3.
Yes, the hoodie also doesn't help matters because it is
It doesn't
definitely
help.
red.
Yeah.
Well, that's my
Oh,
fault,
dear.
so...
Well, while I recover from realizing just how I'm spending my Friday evening, how about we're going to take a quick break, an opportunity to appreciate some of the other interesting things that Anderson Entertainment has going on at the moment, different pieces of merch and different events that are happening. So stay tuned. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. See you soon.
5.
Stand by for action. We're about to launch Stingray.
thought I might take the new Sky Electric Fab one out for a spin, milady. It's all running on electric, it is. Seems like we've caught the eye of some rather unwelcome guests. This won't take more than a jiffy, milady.
Well done, Parker.
Thank you. Milady?
Home, Parker.
This is Titan calling all surface agents. The accursed Terranians are planning another evening of music and celebration very soon. It will be the perfect opportunity to prepare a surprise for them. A deadly surprise.
Greenville, I am moving message. Anything can happen in the next half hour.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We've all just been backstage, kind of dancing.
I'm still
along
vibing to music.
like
yeah.
Stingray
I'm
theme
vibing.
tune, Space 1999. Lots of cool stuff in there. Yeah, that's been great fun. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Friday evening. If you're just tuning in, we are having a debate about which is the greatest Thunderbirds Craft. We have heard from Willow making a very, very strong argument for Thunderbird 5, it has to be said. We have heard from Ben talking about little Thunderbird 4, the little submarine with a big heart.
A little sub that could.
And AC came out with some nonsense about Thunderbird 3 going to a picnic or something. So you know, that
I love
happened
you too,
as well.
Jack. You're my favorite.
Yeah, it was all right.
Wow.
So I'm setting myself up well here.
AC's becoming the same color as his jumper.
I always am.
is-
That's why I'm never cold.
It is now my turn to discuss Thunderbird 2, which I mean,
That big
is
green
already-
monstrosity.
2 for
Oh,
second
boy.
best, am I right?
Like a mum people
I
carrier,
mean-
yeah.
Clearly, you guys have had time to prepare your counter arguments, whereas I have not had too much time to think about my main arguments. Because I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of complacent. Everyone knows Thunderbird 2 is the best one. I mean, that's why we have things like this collectible, which are coming out, and we're going to talk more about soon. Got my plug in. Thunderbird 2 is the best. It's the best. It just is. By far the most toys made of it, the most recognizable of the Thunderbird craft. It's the one that everyone, talks about in the wider world outside of our, strange little fan community that we have going on. In the real world, everyone's talking about Thunderbird 2 first and foremost.
You're saying it's the most common.
Nothing wrong with being, common.
Common as muck.
Yeah, common as muck. Well, you gotta,
It's like when you're driving out in the world and you see like another grey car and you're like, oh, there it is.
There it is.
Really?
One of
So
those.
you've seen another Thunderbird 2 around? I mean, that's the thing. There is nothing else
Thunderbird
like
2
it.
You got
is like
several
buses.
of them on your desk.
Yeah, Thunderbird 2s are like buses. 1, it is a bus, and 2, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, I can't think of anything else that just had me so excited as a kid. Every moment from the TV show when You know,
It
it was
slowly
time to
crumbles
find
down
out
into
what
space.
Thunderbird 2. No. I mean, the launch sequence was very exciting and built anticipation by, you know, taking a gentle pace, shall we say, towards actually something happening. But no, what I was going to refer to was every time a brand new pod vehicle would wheel out of Thunderbird 2's pod and
Like
be
Thunderbird
revealed.
4.
I mean, when Thunderbird 4 turned up, it was kind of like, well, okay, yeah, fine, we know about this one, but you know, things like the Domo, the Firefly, I mean, the
None of
Mole.
which are
Come on.
Thunderbird 2.
Thunderbird 2.
None of those will get anywhere without Thunderbird 2. I mean, all right, we've talked about how Thunderbird 4 can get around by itself because it's got its little hover jets, but you know, the Mole is not getting anywhere without Thunderbird 2. It is stuck on that island. So you've got to have
No, it isn't. It can tunnel away.
Yeah, tunnel under the ocean.
Yeah, just like if it needs to go to the other side of the planet, just straight down.
Really?
I don't know. That might be
the best option. Who's gonna? They're
How
gonna
long
dig
would
a
that
hole
take?
through Tracy Island. That would take so long, and also Jeff would have to replace the floor every single time. So no, Thunderbird 2.
It would also create a volcano. What Tracy
We'll be
Island
right
is.
there in
It's
approximately
silly.
3 days.
Silly argument. Come on, that's just silly. Thunderbird 2 is obviously the best as far as transporting vehicles around and about. Also, has to be said that all your other craft, you know, other people were able to just come along and fly them. Virgil is the only Tracy brother who ever sat in the pilot's chair for Thunderbird 2. You know, Thunderbird 1, Alan was able to just come along like that and pick it up like super easy. Oh, this is just like
goes to show how important it is that they all have to be trained on it.
Whatever. Yeah, but no, I'm going to argue.
Whereas
Anyone can get a bus
special
license.
skills.
Anyone can get a bus license. Getting a space license is harder.
Well, I mean, Virgil did also fly Thunderbird 3 in the episode Ricochet, so you know, so Virgil's clearly got his space.
That's a
license as
Virgil
well.
argument, not a Thunderbird 2 argument.
Okay,
Also,
all right,
Jack,
all right.
I have a very important question, Jack. If Thunderbird 2 is so good, serious question, not going to poke fun at you for this one. If Thunderbird 2 is literally the best Thunderbird, as you say, and it may well be, it could be, why didn't it get a montage at the start of your argument?
Oh. Who would like to see the best bits of Thunderbird?
Oh, go
2?
on then, go on.
Here we go. I've had time now to think of 2 reasons why there was no montage to start with. Number one, I was so excited to start talking about Thunderbird 2 that I wasn't even prepared. And also, because you know the best moments of Thunderbird 2, they're just there. You don't need guidance on why Thunderbird 2 is brilliant. It's just everyone remembers. Whereas Thunderbird 3, it's like, oh yeah, when did that show up? I don't even remember like what it actually did. Whereas Thunderbird 2 is like always there. You know, there's only one episode of Thunderbirds where Thunderbird 2 doesn't appear.
But Thunderbird 3 does.
Thunderbird 3 does. Yeah, right. I'm not saying Thunderbird 3 doesn't have its place. It's just very rarely is it actually useful. Whereas Thunderbird 2 always has the right equipment. It's always there at the right time. You know, Thunderbird 1 turns up, and it's just, I'm going to have a go at you now, Chris. Thunderbird 1 just turns up, and it's just waiting around for Thunderbird 2 to get there most of the time. Like, Thunderbird 1's just like, I'm here. I can't really do anything. I haven't got any of the equipment and stuff. But Scott just turns up to say, oh hey, I'm here. But trust me, I've got the actual workhorses turning up in a minute.
It's okay,
and
sir.
then
Try
Thunderbird
not
2
to expire in
arrives
the
and
next
everyone
3
goes,
hours
oh,
while it
it's
takes Thunderbird 2 to turn up.
Look, Thunderbird. All right, Thunderbird 2. Slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race. I mean, Ben can attest to that with how incredible.
I'm sorry, young Jimmy ran out of oxygen in the time it took for you to deliver Thunderbird 4.
Even Thunderbird 5, while it supposedly is sitting there, it's in geostationary orbit, so it's actually traveling at 67,000 miles per hour or something like that, which makes it by far the fastest Thunderbird. So Thunderbird 2 is technically the second slowest Thunderbird.
Oh, we're saying Thunderbird. Well, Thunderbird 5 is the biggest. Yes, you can't deny that. But, as Ben, I'm on Ben's side. It's not all about the size; it's about the heart. And
Thunderbird 2 now you're about the size.
Well, I mean, think about how you felt the first time you saw Terror in New York City when Thunderbird 2 got shot down in its prime. I mean,
yeah, it's the scene everyone remembers.
Yeah.
Because it's being shot.
That's just
what happened when Thunderbird 3 got attacked? Oh yeah, nothing happened because no one could be bothered to shoot Thunderbird 3 down. It wasn't important enough.
It was too fast.
Yeah, whereas Thunderbird 1 got shot down, was literally fixed in a couple of hours and took off again.
Yeah, under its own power.
Yeah,
this is true. Well,
Thunderbird
I mean,
to be fair, nobody cared when Thunderbird 1 got shot down. Thunderbird 2 being shot down is a monumental event that stands in the hall of Thunderbirds. Great.
Where is that Thunderbird 4's big heart now?
I have to say Thunderbird 4 actually was kind of the plucky little guy, because when it got, fired at in Desperate Intruder, when the hood opened fired on it, it just got right back up and killed.
I love how your Thunderbird 2 argument is actually adding weight behind my Thunderbird 4 argument.
Look, I'm not saying we can't all be friends.
To Thunderbird 4,
let's all be nice about it.
Whenever it comes to Thunderbird 4, I do appreciate how whenever Thunderbird 2 launches the pod with Pod 4, it does break every bone in Gordon's body every time it hits the surface.
Yeah, I mean that's why you get that one in Man from MI5 when it just gently puts the pod down instead
after the memo.
Shaken, not stirred.
Yeah, you've got to. I mean, let's just talk about some of the other features on Thunderbird 2. You've got, I don't know how many different types of grabs Thunderbird 2 had, but I mean, it's quite a few. It had a set of grabs for every scenario, and that's
very few of which actually worked.
Exactly,
good to be prepared.
It wildly changes from shot and shape and size from shot to shot. That's a cool thing it can do.
I mean, that's, to be fair, that's that we have this. Only Thunderbird 5 is kind of immune from that.
The Mighty Morphin Thunderbird 2.
Yeah, but if we're going to start using continuity as an argument, I think we're all going to be worse off for that. So
apart from Willow, because they only made one model of Thunderbird 5, so Willow's
because it was perfect. And they didn't need any more.
They only filmed it like once or twice. They only bothered to get it out of storage.
And yet it's still got an upgrade, and it's still got the designers in halfway through. It's important.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Well, anyway, Thunderbird 2 is also great because it's got the pod has a door at the front and the back. I mean, how many other Thunderbirds have a back door?
Jack, my house has a back door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
my car's got a back door.
House is good, isn't it?
My car has more doors than Thunderbird 2.
Wow.
But you wouldn't want everyone coming in through the I'll be honest, I don't know where I was going with that. At least when I start a rant, I'm prepared to admit when I'm losing it. I'm not just starting off with a picnic and going, I'll get to my point eventually. Like I
got to my point almost immediately. You just weren't paying attention.
Well, because it was kind of rubbish. Oh, everyone's saying now that I'm letting Thunderbird 2 down. Well, I'm sorry, but come on.
Wow.
I'll be honest. I came into this very complacent that Thunderbird 2 was the best. and thinking that there's no argument that can touch it. And I have to say,
his own petard.
Maybe that was wrong. But
I'll tell you where I'll tell you where you went wrong. I'll tell you where you went wrong. It was using the argument that some of the pods have back doors. This is a great feature for Thunderbird 2. That's where you lost them.
I mean, it's better to have one than not have one, surely.
I would admit, apart from Thunderbird 5, Thunderbird 2 is the most useful.
There you go. Thank you, Willow.
It is.
You see,
it picks things up and it drops things off all the time. It's got all of the equipment and everything. It is the most useful, apart from Thunderbird 5.
I'll get to that.
Well, let's. I tell you what, Willow. Why don't we? I mean, yeah. Thinking about it. Thank you, Willow. You've helped me get back on point.
He's back on track.
Between Thunderbird 5 and Thunderbird 2, you've basically got.
We could do all the rescues. We could do everything.
Yeah. You don't need.
You don't need the rest.
Definitely don't need Thunderbird 1. That's not doing anything for anyone. Thunderbird 3, we've got Thunderbird 5 up there for the space stuff, so John can just kind of go out and deal with most of the space stuff. Yeah, you don't need to worry about that.
He can leave
Thunderbird 4, I mean,
he can do both.
Most of Thunderbird 4 stuff you can deal with by someone getting out and just going for a swim.
Oh,
they can do most of the same jobs. So
come on,
not cool, man.
The deep sea pressure. The deep sea pressure and the temperature, you think you could go in a swim?
Like, you're sitting there at the bottom of the ocean, you're about to explode because of pressure, and then you see the searchlights of Thunderbird 4, and you just feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
But that could also be because you're running out of oxygen.
Okay, I'm seeing these little alliances starting to form here, and I'm not liking it. I'm not liking
all of us versus you. I feel like we're collectively the underdogs.
I think we're simultaneously all our own worst enemies. I think that's what's happening here. Well, anyway, basically, Thunderbird 2, to sum up, to bring all of my very loose threads together, Thunderbird 2, it's the best because it brings all the useful equipment to the danger zone, and
it's green.
Need I say more? And it's green, which is cool.
It's also a beacon for people that need to be rescued because they can see it coming and it brings hope. Like
you can't miss.
Like calling Thunderbird 5 does.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue possibly that a flashlight would do the same job, but yeah, Thunderbird 2, yes, it's a beacon of hope. I'm sorry, I'm terrible at this.
You're literally shooting yourself in the foot at every opportunity here. What is going on, Jack?
This is the problem with being the chairperson and having to take part in the debate.
It's true. You're wearing too many hats.
Should have brought someone else in who was more qualified.
Jack does need Thunderbird 2 to rescue him from being buried.
But the thing is, Thunderbird 2 is still... Thunderbird 2 is so good in its own right that you don't need someone decent to argue for it. With all that being said, let's move on to Thunderbird 1 so I can get myself out of this. Let's take a look at some best bits from Thunderbird 1.
1.
London Tower from Thunderbird 1, approaching London Airport height, 2,500 feet, airspeed 7.5 thousand miles per hour. We'll be touching down in 2 minutes.
Chris,
yes.
You've waited very patiently. You've had to listen to arguments of varying degrees of quality, as we've just been discussing. With all that you've heard, with all that you've kind of taken in over the course of this stream, it's now time for you to present. This is like kind of last chance saloon situation here. Time for you, no pressure or anything, but it is now time, and I'm not going to try and put this off. it's time for you to discuss Thunderbird 1 and why you think it's the best Thunderbird. You've got a lot of people on side, a lot of people rooting for you. I'm giving you lots of time to think of your arguments here.
You're putting on lots of pressure.
Lots of pressure for you. And now, without further ado, Thunderbird 1, begin.
Well, to talk about Thunderbird 1, we need to talk about a thing called survivorship bias. You could argue that not every episode of Thunderbirds doesn't have every rescue that they've ever done. And in fact, you'd probably argue that the rescues that are in the show itself are probably the most extreme. Like, they tend to focus on ones which have, like, require a heavy rescue or require, like, the mole or, like, a large enough situation that you would need, like, heavy equipment in order to solve because it's more visually interesting. However, more often than not, when you look at the how rescues happen in the real world, most of the time, like, say for instance, if there's an earthquake and there's people trapped under rubble, you don't need a bulldozer, you don't need a giant drill. What you need is presumably somebody to come along really quickly with a winch or specialists or a medic. Thunderbird 1 can circumvent the world in about an hour. It's incredibly fast. It's about 15,000 miles per hour. It can get to disaster zones extremely quickly and assess whether you need heavy rescue, you need Thunderbird 2 to come at all, or as it's outfitted with a ton of gizmos and gadgets itself, it could probably solve almost 80% of the rescues it sent out to itself. Or at least I believe so. And there would be situations like hikers are like trapped up in the Himalayas somewhere. People need rescued from buildings. People like, say for instance, there's a small boat or a medium boat trapped in the ocean in the middle of a storm. Thunderbird 1 can go out and rescue them there. And yeah, I would probably, echoing Willow's sentiment, I would say that off-screen, Thunderbird 1 has probably saved more people than Thunderbird 2 has, purely because it probably has to go out a lot more.
Emphasis on off-screen.
Yes. Well, on-screen, Thunderbird 1 has a ton of other uses. Obviously, it's got to get there first. It's got to assess the situation, and Scott's got to come up with a plan of action before Thunderbird 2 arrives, so that no one's just milling about trying to work out where all the survivors are. Thunderbird 1 basically perimeters the area, the danger zone, so that International Rescue's assets are protected. And if you do cross International Rescue for whatever reason, it's not Thunderbird 4 in your rearview mirror chasing after you, is it?
That would be hilarious, though.
That would be great.
I would love to see that. Yeah.
Thunderbird 5 just slamming down from orbit.
So Thunderbird 1, am I right in thinking Thunderbird 1 probably responsible for quite a few deaths as well?
Yeah,
Potentially.
the Thunderbird of violence.
Like shooting down Victor Gomez in Moving Your Dead, for example.
Yeah, they've earned it, though.
One of many examples, I would say.
Yeah.
I'd say
Thunderbird 1
sometimes
probably...
you've got to shoot a few bullets to help some people.
Bloodthirsty.
Okay,
But
well,
I'd say
that's quite a
also-
strong point.
I would also argue that say, for instance, you wanted to call Thunderbird 1, you would have the response of possibly the most epic voice you've ever heard in your life, that of Shane Rimmer, Scott Tracy. So,
Come on,
Really?
no.
Shane Rimmer.
Well,
Come on.
I agree that Shane Rimmer is epic, but it's not like he's the voice of Thunderbird 1 or anything. Scott's his own thing. And also, we do have 1 week where Alan can just get inside Thunderbird 1 and poodle
and
along,
complain about it.
quite happily.
Jumping on that argument from earlier, it's pretty clear that everyone is trained in how to use Thunderbird 1. Which implies how important it is. It means that it cannot be taken out of action, except for that one time Scott used it to take a vacation. But, yeah.
Yeah, funny that.
It couldn't even outrun the Zombite jets.
Yeah.
For all
You
its
said it was
speed.
trying to outrun the Zombite jets.
I mean, it got shot down.
I know, but
It couldn't have
Are
just
you saying it wanted to get shot down?
No, but Scott wasn't expecting to get shot down. So,
Yeah,
he was taken off guard.
There was a few shots that took him off guard, and then he tries to get away, and he can't make it. He can't even escape the standard jets.
Takes a little bit of time to warm up. That's what it needs. You've got to heat up that
So,
board.
let's talk a little bit about some of Thunderbird 1's features, because we've talked about how it gets to the scene and it's trying to sort everyone out, and that's great, but that's mostly Scott doing that work.
Yeah.
What does Thunderbird 1 actually have to offer in
Well,
terms of rescue capabilities? What's
it's
it
got
actually offering?
an advanced radar and sonar suite, so once it gets to the location, it can ascertain where the crashed submarine is, or where the any aircraft or like stuff on land is. It's got a smoke screen, which could presumably also be outfitted with, or in the comics, I think it does have like fire suppressing foam. It's got an automatic camera which can use to explore burning buildings, again to ascertain where the trapped survivors are. It has magnetic grabs, which can be obviously used to pull out anything about the size of a car to maybe a truck if it needs to be moved. Presumably that can be outfitted with a winch as well. I think it does in the technical manuals. It has javelins, because why not put some javelins in there? Yeah, and obviously, and it's also got a generous cargo bay in the back, which allows Scott to carry his mobile computer and his hover bike, and arguably any other ephemera he needs to bring along the way.
Does it have
Which
a
of
back door,
those?
though?
No, it has a pod, actually. It lowers down.
Which of those are not shared features with Thunderbird 2?
Or
You're
Thunderbird
talking
5.
about
Mainly
Thunderbird 5
the
is
talking
speed.
about grabs. Thunderbird 2's got way more grabs.
Thunderbird 2 has way more grabs, but by the time Thunderbird 2's got there, the car's fallen in the ravine. Generally, the survival rate for an actual accident is usually, if you're not killed instantly, a clock automatically starts timing down, and within the first couple of hours, most people have probably gone. So you need a craft that can get there ASAP.
Right.
And that's where Thunderbird 1 comes in.
Citation needed.
Or Thunderbird 5
Except
that already sends
Thunderbird
people
1
that are more local.
Thunderbird 1 not necessarily the fastest Thunderbird.
No,
though,
Thunderbird
is it?
3 or 5, depending on how you like to count it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's fair. But also, Thunderbird 3 is a rocket, therefore it can go up and down. And Thunderbird 5...
excuse me. Thunderbird 1 very definitely goes up and down.
No, but it can hover, it can VTOL, it can...
Thunderbird 3 can hover. We see it in Ricochet. It has to hover
randomly.
to get back into its launch bay. So it's obviously got some sort of VTOL capability.
It also
So AC, are you saying if Thunderbird 1 was out of action, Thunderbird 3 could step into the gap?
I think I'm authorized to be able to say that, yes. The only time it wouldn't have worked terribly well would have been an end of the road, because Thunderbird 3 would have been wider than the canyon.
Yeah, those javelins are pretty cool.
What I do love, the thing is that Thunderbird 3 is about the size of a Saturn V rocket. And if, say, for instance, Thunderbird 3 was to land at London Airport, they would need to evacuate London Airport and the surrounding area before it took off. Otherwise, the sound alone would kill everyone in the area.
Yeah, not terribly practical.
No, but at least it would probably get Commander Norman out of action for a bit, which is no bad thing.
That's
true. That's very true. Yeah.
Real villain of the show.
Yeah.
I appreciate the flaws of Thunderbird 1, but like Ben, it's got a big heart. It's always the one that they hear. Like every time they hear that sound and they're like, who's that? It's International Rescue. It's Thunderbird 1.
So it's noisy.
Yeah, air pollution.
Less noisy than Thunderbird 3, I think, as we just space.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, can't argue with that.
Yeah, but sound doesn't travel in the vacuum of space.
Well, probably. Not like Thunderbird 5, if we're going for sound pollution, Thunderbird 5 is going to be the quietest, but that's because it's really far away.
It doesn't need to be close. It's doing its job perfectly without having to get there anywhere else.
Yeah. Thunderbird 5 can rescue the cat from the tree.
It's just doing its thing.
Now that I would love to see. Oh, well, thank you, Chris. That was very, very, very excellent. I'm curious now. We've had a lot of discussion in the chat from various people, talking about which one's their favorite Thunderbird from childhood to right up to adulthood and all the rest of it. Lots of very convincing arguments, but I would be fascinated to hear from the people in the chat, who made the most convincing argument. If you've been here for the whole stream, which of us made the most convincing argument for their Thunderbird? Was it Willow who came in with quotes and facts and figures and all the research done. Was it Ben who was? Need I remind you? Ben is like our most talented artist on the team.
I'd buy it. I'd buy it.
Yeah. I feel very threatened right now.
Prince coming soon to the Gerry Anderson store. Not really.
I mean, was it AC talking about picnics and all sorts of... Sorry, AC. What was your argument for Thunderbird 3?
I'm still not sure how you didn't follow this.
This moderator is so biased. It's not even funny.
If you were having a picnic on the moon and there was an air leak, which of the other craft are going to rescue? None of them.
Okay. So nothing to do with the
You're
picnic,
dead on
then.
the moon trying to have your nice picnic. Your hermetically sealed dome has collapsed. You're gone, much like your argument was when you started talking about Thunderbird 2's back door. Oh, burn!
Yeah, well, but let's just see. Here Matthew puts it best. AC made a very strong argument with his Thunderbird 3 picnic story, but I'm still voting for Thunderbird 2.
Thank
you. Like,
you
can have... It's a feeling. It's got nothing to do with like logic and like what can do what. It's like Thunderbird 2 makes people feel things. So that's why people
just
are going
like
to be
Thunderbird
voting
4?
for Thunderbird. No.
Thunderbird 1 makes people feel things with bullets.
Fair enough. Well,
they feel the need for speed.
Yeah, absolutely. So lots of people seem to be getting a good smattering of people.
That flowchart is indisputable.
Really feeling like we did a good job at making our cases for various different crafts.
What I probably would say is that eventually there is going to be presumably a Thunderbird manual at some point, and I can write whatever I want.
And so can I.
Wow.
Well, it looks
I think it's more likely going to be a Thunderbird 1 manual with the guest stars.
But potentially.
Wow.
It's going to be a Thunderbird 1 manual with a page dedicated to Ben's flowchart with Thunderbird 4. And then it's just going to be like a picnic spread for AC's bits.
Wow.
I mean, it's great. It's fantastic to hear so many people turning around and saying everyone made good arguments, but Thunderbird 2 is ultimately the best. Okay, let's talk about Thunderbird 6.
Yes.
It's a good movie.
I like it.
All right. Yeah. I mean, we were planning to have someone, we were planning to have a special guest actually join us to talk about Thunderbird 6. But sadly, they're still 2 weeks flight away. For some reason, they decided to be a hipster and fly all the way here in a biplane. So, Thunderbird 6, sadly, just not going to be represented.
What are you going to do?
Unfortunately. But anyway, what were we going to do? So, what do we say? Thunderbird 2 wins? Yep. Okay, good. Right. Really? No one's going to argue that. Okay, Thunderbird 2 wins. Hooray.
Well, I mean, put it this way, Jack. There are 4 of us and 1 of you, so this isn't going to end well for you.
And I'm the one in control of the stream. I could just kind of take any of you out at any time I like. Not that this is biased or anything like that. Anyway, with all that being said, I'm going to very smoothly transition into talking once again about the Thunderbird 2 collectible, which I think is what a lot of people are actually here to see. This lovely Thunderbird 2 collectible, which is coming soon to the Gerry Anderson store. It will be available pre-order from Friday, February 23rd. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous looking thing. I mean, from every angle, it's captured all the best features. Not necessarily the back door, but the bottom door there. It's got the hatch. So,
unfortunately, it only remains the one size through use.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yes. So, Chris, you were talking earlier about how, you were looking specifically to like the end title shot when you were sort of designing this thing. Was there anything about that particularly. I mean, I'm looking at this close-up shot of it. It looks like you've really captured all of those details, like as far as like the panel lining is concerned. Was that a particular challenge that was kind of difficult to overcome when you were
there was
putting
there was
this
a lot
together?
of back and forth on it just to make sure that we got as much on there as like we could, because obviously like whenever you sort of get to a certain scale, it gets harder to put decals on, particularly something that's going to be produced multiple times. But yeah, no, I think what was most important to me was the dirt, because when you get toys of Thunderbird 2, they tend to like come in with the panel lines kind of baked in, and that kind of gives them a bit more of a toy and kind of gives the scale. Whereas if you're familiar with the original filming miniature of Thunderbird 2, the panel lines were penciled on, so they were completely flat and they were like very, very thin. So what I wanted to bring with this one is to bring that effect back in, just so it looked less like a toy and more like a model. Like if you commission someone to make you a Thunderbird 2 model, they'd probably do it that way. So yeah, and then again, that meant that we could get all that dirt on. And I think Jamie was very, very keen for dirt. So there's like quite a bit of it caked on the underside.
I mean, if they say one thing about Jamie Anderson, it's that he loves his dirt.
Like it's
I know what you mean. He wanted that. He was really keen to get that level of detail in there. Because obviously there have been Thunderbird 2 toys before and models before. But this is kind of an interesting sort of hybrid. So in terms of size, we've talked it's sort of roughly twice the size of a Matchbox.
It's exactly
2.
one Chris's head.
It's the size of Chris's head, if you need that for reference. So it's a good weighty thing. Die cast metal and plastic is what it's all made out of, I believe.
That's the one.
Limited edition to 2,000 pieces. So if you want to get hold of one of these, the best thing you can do right now is head over to shop.gerryanderson.com/pages/TB2 collectible, and it will take you to this page on the Gerry Anderson website where you are able to fill out a form just so you get notified as soon as the pre-order launches on Friday, February 23rd. And it also shows you the lovely box art and packaging that we've got going on. It's in the same range and what we hope will be a very long lasting range of collectibles that we started with the Eagles, is now continuing with Thunderbird 2, and hopefully many more collectibles alongside it as well. And they make a lovely kind of grouping put all together. So definitely get your hands on one of these, because they're going to sell out quite fast. I have a feeling that they're going to be very, very popular. So definitely get on there, register your interest. So there we go. That's Thunderbird 2, the best Thunderbird.
The second best Thunderbird.
You said. Well
done, Chris. It looks really spiffy.
Yeah.
Thunderbird 2 is just quite clearly the greenest Thunderbird. Except
when it's made by Dinky, when it's Thunderbird 1 blue.
Yes.
That's true. But even when it is blue, it still looks pretty
That's
special.
good than Thunderbird 1.
Okay. Well, Dinky never even bothered to touch Thunderbird 1, so
Like Willow, I can't believe you didn't make the case that they love Thunderbird 5 so much they made the roundhouse look after it like the same.
I didn't need to. It was the facts were making its own case well enough. I didn't need to.
I mean,
fun fact, as far as I remember, it's actually the other way round. They designed the roundhouse first, and then they were like, "Oh, that's quite good. Let's do Thunderbird 5."
Thunderbird 5 was the last one to be built because it was the most important. So they had to take more time and more energy actually for making sure that it was perfect, rather than just chucking out any old thing like the others.
And how did it get built? How did the supplies get into space? Oh yeah, Thunderbird 3.
Not all Thunderbird 3, no. There was other ones as well. There's other stuff going on. It's perfect.
It was a busy time. There was just lots of stuff going on, It was just
nothing's going to dissuade me from the fact that Thunderbird 5 is the most useful, most important, most perfect, beautiful Thunderbird.
Were the Thunderbirds numbered in order of preference?
Yes.
If you're Chris, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're Chris.
It's like the way that
definitely.
they the titles show them in order of age.
Oh, that's a very
boy.
bad can of worms.
That
Not
is
go down.
another debate for
That's
another
a whole nother
day.
stream.
We will not be getting into that here. And in fact, that I think on that bombshell, it's probably time for us to end. So I have to say a big thank you to all of our guests for joining us. Willow for fighting for Thunderbird 5, Ben on
Always.
Thunderbird 4, C on Thunderbird 3, Chris on Thunderbird 1, and I have been Jack, attempting to argue for Thunderbird 2 and not necessarily doing the best job. If you've enjoyed this stream, please post a comment in the chat just to let us know that you've been watching and enjoyed the thing. And hopefully we'll be able to do more debates like this very, very soon, because I think it's been a lot of fun. And of course, whoa, what is going on there?
Ben just exploded from pressure.
I took Thunderbird 4 too deep.
Ben, that was
beyond the safety
ready
net.
for that.
Let's try it again.
That was fun.
Double thumbs up.
Oh, is that the
Wow.
thing it does?
Here we go.
Ooh,
Yeah.
clever.
Someone else try.
Well done. Well,
It only works if you've got an eye product.
Oh,
I see. Okay.
Tut, tut.
Okay. There we go. We're all learning about
What can
new
I say?
technology right here. So anyway, thank you all very much for joining us. It's been great to chat with you. Great to spend your Friday evenings. As I say, head along to shop.gerryanderson.com/pages/TB2 collectible to sign up for pre-order notifications so that you know as soon as the thing goes live on the Gerry Anderson store. And otherwise, thank you again for joining us. And we will finish up now with, of course, the classic Thunderbirds march. So thank you, everyone, and we will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.
I mean, obviously Thunderbird 3 is not the best, but they'll never get me to say it on camera.